This is a huge move. What was your feelings on what they gave up and what they received?
I'm surprised that they gave up Robert Williams. Brad Stevens earlier this season had said we need to rebalance our backcourt and front court. I guess by getting rid of a couple of guys, maybe that keeps the balance. But it was surprising. I thought Robert Williams coming off finally a healthy offseason and a chance to work on his game. There was a little bit of promise about what he could deliver, but I think this was as much about answering what Milwaukee did and keeping Holiday away from Philly and Miami and other potential roadblocks rather than fight 2-3 battles to get to the NBA finals. You keep him away from some of these other teams and you load up to fight the main battle to get to the NBA finals.
Okay, so the way you say that is in your opinion, is that a good way to do business? Like, because that's an interesting way that you put it. That you're doing it to keep him away from other people, or is that a good way to do business in your opinion?
I think under normal circumstances, I'd say probably not actually, but the new collective bargaining agreement is so punitive for expensive teams that the Celtics, Milwaukee, Phoenix, 3 teams that have all loaded up this offseason, those are teams that are going to have to break it up in a year or two. So I think what this season is a response to the new collective bargaining agreement where everybody's just going all in right now, that this particular season is kind of like everybody's window. Do it now, load up now, because all of the new rules kick in next season. And so I think that's part of it, that everybody knows that the Celtics are going to have to make some tough decisions next season. So go for it now while you can and worry about tomorrow.
I was saying earlier today that I keep thinking about that moment where Wick Grousbeck went into the locker room and started essentially yelling at the players for not trying hard. I think that was right before they ended up going on that 3-game winning streak against the Miami Heat, unfortunately losing it in the Game 7. But I knew at that moment that if they weren't able to finish this season, there would have to be some wholesale changes. And since then, they've gotten rid of Marcus Smart. Obviously, Grant Williams is gone. They've brought in Kristaps Porzingis and now Jrue Holiday. Are you satisfied with this change of direction that the team seems to have done?
Well, I don't think they're done yet, so I'm not fully satisfied yet. They still need to address depth issues. They're great 1 through 6, right? They made changes. They're leaning heavily into Joe Mazzulla's style. They took Marcus Smart and they basically mashed Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart together and put it in a car compactor and come out with Jrue Holiday. Boom, you got both of their skills together. They mashed Robert Williams and Grant Williams together, and boom, you got a tall guy who can shoot. So they've got shooting all over the floor now, which Joe Mazzulla is going to love. So this shows a commitment to Joe Mazzulla and his style, and more the modern NBA style. I don't want to say like Joe Mazzulla is some innovator. He just likes to shoot the ball a lot. But they're great 1 through 6. Once you get to 7, you've got some issues, right? Peyton Pritchard is your backup point guard, which is fine for now, but that's not how I want to go into the playoffs. Luke Cornett is your backup big, which is fine for now, but I don't want that to be the case going into the playoffs. So there's more work to be done. So I don't think, as much as the Celtics have, like, they're one player away from a good playoff rotation, I still need to see, well, and we'll find out this preseason in like November, is O'Shea Brissett, is Lamar Stevens, or those guys, Shvi Mikhailuk, are those guys good enough to be an 8, 9, 10-man rotation? Sam Hauser, those guys, can they eat up enough innings during the regular season to win enough games to get that top seed and get into the playoffs when the rotation shrinks? And can we find that 7th guy that can be trusted in a playoff series?
How much should we be worried about the fragility of Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford?
Well, I can't help but worry about Porzingis because of his history. And obviously the plantar fasciitis, he's been scrimmaging there. He seems fine. Everything looks fine from the videos that we've seen so far. We'll see how he's walking around today at media day. But you can't help but worry because a guy that size that moves the way he does, there's always a risk for injury. Horford has generally been durable. but he's 37. He turns 38 in June. So if the Celtics go to the finals, he'll be a 38-year-old in the NBA finals that they're going to really rely on now. So you can't help but be worried about that. That's why I think they need to go get another big. They got this kid, Wenyen Gabriel, who played with the Lakers last year. He's okay. We'll see if he fits the bill or if they need to use that traded player exception. They got $6.2 million traded player exception where they could maybe go out and get somebody over the course of the season that could be a more seasoned veteran in that spot.
I'm wondering, one of the first things I read after they traded for Jrue Holiday is that the team and Holiday are going to put together, get their heads together and work on a contract extension. How in the world can they afford to sign Jrue Holiday to a contract extension given all the new rules that go into effect next season?
I have no idea how they're going to be able to keep all these guys. They have, when you trade for a guy, you assume his, what they call bird rights. So when you trade for him, you get those rights and you get to go over and above the whatever limits to re-sign your own guy. So they technically have the money, but between him, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis, they have almost $134 million tied up in those guys this season. And next season, they'll be up over about 155. And then you throw in Al Horford and Derek White, and those, you're with 5 players. You're basically, or 6 players. You're at your second apron already. So you're way over those 4 guys are already over the cap next season. 4 guys. So this is what I was saying before. I don't know how they're going to be able to keep all those guys. They might be able to do it for one more season. But if they do it next season, then there's no in-season move. There's no trade deadline move. There's no nothing. There's no signing a buyout guy. You might be able to pick up a veteran minimum guy here or there, but that's it. The team that goes into the season is the team that's going to end that season. And so that's the commitment they're going to make next season if they keep this moving forward. But if they don't, somebody's going to have to go. It's going to be a hard decision, and it's not going to be Jason Tatum. So you've got 3 other names to choose from there, and I don't know how
they should throw Brown's name in there just all year, just to keep him, old times.
It's worked. It's worked before.
He scored 27 points a game last year.
But listen, let's just lean back on what's worked. Is this the best team in the East in your opinion right now?
I think so. Milwaukee certainly is right there with them, but I think the defensive potential of this team, the Celtics, as much as they sacrificed the defense to make moves in Marcus Smart and Robert Williams. When Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year, people were saying Robert Williams should have won it. So those are 2 high-level defenders. You get shooting at both of those positions now with Holiday and Porzingis, and Holiday is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, or at least an all-defense candidate, and Porzingis being, 7'3", can be a rim protector. Now the question is, can he be as effective as Rob was back there? If he can be, then this team could be number 1 in offense and number 1 in defense. This could be a really impactful move. The only question is whether they've got enough depth to get through the season without taxing Tatum and Brown too much. But this certainly they've gotten, I think, over Milwaukee because they've gotten the guy, and they got the revenge guy. Milwaukee gives them up, and Boston says, "Hey, let's go. We're going to give you immediate opportunity for revenge. You can go guard the guy they traded you for, and get revenge against a team that, a week ago, Holiday was saying he wanted to retire as a Buck, and now he's going to be trying to knock them out. So there's that factors into this as well."